On a small bookshelf in a vault at the Financial Times headquarters in London, there is a first edition of a book that changed how an entire generation thinks about money. Next to it, sealed in a clear case, sits a single handwritten page. It's not part of the manuscript. It wasn't written by the author, Robert Kiyosaki. It's a note from one of the original editors. And it contains 7 words that explain why. Despite selling over 40 million copies, Rich Dad Poor Dad might have left you more confused about wealth than when you started. The note reads, "We removed the chapter on psychological debt. This is not a conspiracy. This is publishing." And today, on Unspoken Text, we are going to restore that missing chapter. We are going to decode what the most famous money book of all time deliberately leaves unsaid, not because it's wrong, but because the full truth is too psychologically uncomfortable for most people to handle. I will show you the 3 unspoken pillars of wealth that Rich Dad Poor Dad hints at but never names. The biological reason your brain fights against financial freedom. And the one sentence about money that, once you understand it, will make every investment, every job, and every financial decision you ever make look completely different. This isn't about assets and liabilities. This is about the mental software that runs your financial life. And by the end of this, you will understand why reading this book might have been the first step. But understanding what it doesn't say is the only step that matters. To understand the silence, we must first understand the story. Rich Dad Poor Dad is built on a parable. The author has to father figures. His poor dad, his biological father, highly educated. A government employee, believes in the classic script. Go to school, get a good job, work hard, save, retire. His rich dad, his best friend's father, a businessman with an 8th grade education, believes in financial education, building assets, and making money work for you. The book frames this as a simple choice between 2 mindsets. But here is the first unsaid truth. There was always a third man in the room. Robert Kiyosaki himself. The narrator, the observer, and his psychological position is the real key to the book's power and its greatest omission. Kiyosaki positioned himself as the bridge between these 2 worlds, the educated son of the poor dad who learns the secrets of the rich dad. This makes him relatable. It makes the secrets feel learnable, but it creates a massive, unspoken distortion. It turns wealth acquisition into a neat, 2-generation journey. Learn the lessons, apply them, succeed. What this completely erases is the intergenerational trauma of money, the silent baggage of family history that shapes your relationship with every dollar before you even earn your first one. Your poor dad isn't just a set of beliefs. He is the culmination of centuries of survival psychology, the Great Depression anxiety baked into your grandfather's bones, the immigrant scarcity whispering in your grandmother's stories, the blue-collar pride that conflates hard work with moral worth. Your rich dad isn't just a savvy businessman. He is the beneficiary of a different lineage, one of risk-taking, of social networks, of a fundamental, often unearned, sense of security in the world. The book presents a mindset problem you can solve in a weekend. The unspoken text reveals a psychological inheritance that requires excavation. Kiyosaki couldn't write that chapter in 1997. The language of trauma, neuroplasticity, and family systems theory wasn't in the public lexicon. But in 2024, we can decode it. And we must, because buying a rental property while still being emotionally wired for scarcity is like putting a jet engine on a horse-drawn cart. The engine will roar, the cart will shudder, and you will crash, wondering why the rich dad formula failed you. The core mechanical teaching of Rich Dad Poor Dad is its famous definition. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out. It's clean. It's binary. It gives you a tool to classify everything in your life. This house, liability. This stock, asset. This is the chapter everyone highlights. But here is the unsaid, deeper law. Your nervous system has its own older classification system for assets and liabilities, and it overrules your spreadsheet every single time. To your rational brain, the diversified index fund is a clear asset. To your ancient, survival-oriented limbic system, it is a terrifying liability. Why? Because it is ambiguous, unfamiliar, and not under your direct control. Your brain evolved to value clear, tangible, immediate rewards. The berry in your hand is an asset. The promise of a berry bush 3 valleys away is a dangerous gamble. When you look at your brokerage account, you are not looking at numbers. You are looking at a digital abstraction of a promise, managed by strangers in a system you don't fully understand. Your primal brain, whose sole job is to keep you alive, reads this as threat. It triggers a subtle stress response: anxiety, restlessness, the urge to do something, or, more commonly, to sell and return to the safety of cash. Conversely, your brain can classify a terrible liability as a safe asset. A brand new luxury car that drains $1,200 a month. To your spreadsheet, it's a catastrophic liability. To your social reptilian brain, it's a brilliant asset. It delivers immediate, tangible status. It signals your position in the tribe. It provides a visceral feeling of power and control: the leather seat, the roaring engine. The dopamine hit of admiration from others is a cash flow your brain understands perfectly. This is why people who understand the asset liability formula intellectually still make emotionally bankrupt decisions. Kiyosaki gives you the intellectual filter. The unspoken text is that you must first recognize and rewire the emotional filter that runs 500 milliseconds ahead of your logical thought. True financial education isn't learning what an asset is. It's the brutal, personal work of discovering why your particular psychology sees danger where there is opportunity and safety where there is ruin. Kiyosaki's second major framework is the Cashflow Quadrant. E employee. As self-employed, B business owner, I investor. He presents it as a map of income sources with the goal of moving from the left side E, S to the right side B, I. This is technically correct, and it is psychologically incomplete in a way that stalls millions of people. The unsaid truth is, each quadrant isn't just a way to make money. It's a complete identity structure, a psychological castle with its own moats and drawbridges. The employee quadrant isn't just about a paycheck. It's about the identity of permission. You trade autonomy for predictability. Your value is assigned by a hierarchy. Your primary psychological need met here is security and belonging. The self-employed S quadrant is the identity of control. You are the system. Your value is your personal skill and effort. Your psychological payoff is autonomy and recognition. The business owner B quadrant is the identity of architecture. You build systems that work without you. Your value is in your design and leverage. Your psychological reward is creation and scale. The investor I quadrant is the identity of allocation. You direct capital. Your value is in your judgment and patience. Your psychological foundation is trust and discernment. The catastrophic error people make is trying to adopt the income strategy of the B or I quadrant while clinging to the identity structure of the E or S quadrant. An employee who starts a business often builds a job for themselves, not a system, because their identity craves the hands-on control and recognition of the S quadrant. A self-employed professional who invests often micromanages trades, turning investing into a stressful, active job because their identity cannot tolerate the passivity and trust required by the I quadrant. Kiyosaki's book says go from E to B. The unspoken text says, you cannot change your income source without first dismantling your identity. The transition isn't a lateral move on a chart. It's a death and rebirth. You must let the employee part of you that needs external validation and clear instructions die, so the business owner who finds validation in building and can tolerate ambiguity can be born. This process is emotional, not tactical. It feels less like a promotion and more like an exile. This is why it's so hard. The book sells a strategy. The truth demands an identity sacrifice. The entire premise of Rich Dad, Poor Dad is the desperate need for financial literacy. It rails against the school system for not teaching it. This is powerful, true, and incomplete. Here is the final, most critical unsaid principle. Financial literacy is merely the language of the game. It is not the strategy for winning it. Learning accounting, investing, and tax law is like learning the rules of chess and the names of the pieces. It allows you to sit at the board without embarrassing yourself. It does not make you a grandmother. The grandmastery of money operates on a different plane: social and structural literacy. Social literacy is understanding how money flows through networks of trust, status, and affiliation. It's knowing that a compelling story presented to the right person in a private setting can raise more capital than a perfect business plan sent to a generic VC email. It's recognizing that your net worth is often a direct reflection of your network's trust in you. Structural literacy is understanding the invisible plumbing of the financial world, not just how a corporation works, but how the legal system, monetary policy, and regulatory capture create tilted playing fields. It's knowing that the tax code isn't a static set of rules, but a dynamic, political artifact that can be shaped. Kiyosaki's Rich Dad had this literacy intuitively. He operated in a world where deals were made on golf courses, where asset protection used legal entities like tools, where he understood that laws are frameworks to be optimized, not just rules to be followed. The book teaches you to love the asset column. The unspoken text is that the most valuable asset you will ever acquire is not a stock or a property. It is privileged access to information and relationships within the right social and structural networks. This is the uncomfortable secret at the heart of wealth building. Meritocratic financial literacy gets you to the door. Understanding the social and structural game, one often built on legacy access, confidential insights, and off-market opportunities, is what lets you walk through it. This doesn't mean you can't win without it. It means you must be aware that you are playing a different, harder game than the one described in the simplified parable. Rich Dad, Poor Dad exploded in the late 90s. Alongside the dot-com boom, a rising stock market, and the myth of the self-made entrepreneur, its omissions were understandable then. Today, in 2024, these silences are landmines. We live in the age of financialization without foundation. Anyone can download a brokerage app and invest with one click. Anyone can get a business loan from an online lender in 24 hours. The tactics of wealth building have been democratized and gamified, but the psychological, identity, and social foundations have not. This creates a perfect storm of knowledgeable, motivated people following a recipe with ingredients they cannot digest, building an identity on a foundation of sand, and playing a high-stakes game whose hidden rules they've never been told. The result is not just financial failure. It is a profound psychological crisis, the shame of I knew the formula, I did the work, and it still didn't work for me. That shame is the real liability. It's the one Kiyosaki's book, by presenting a clean success parable, inadvertently creates. The danger is no longer ignorance. The danger is misapplied partial knowledge, which is far harder to correct because it feels like expertise. So, what is the actionable insight? It is this: treat Rich Dad, Poor Dad not as an owner's manual, but as a diagnostic tool. Its brilliance is in the questions it makes you ask, not the answers it provides. When you feel resistance to buying an asset, don't just push harder. Get curious. Ask, what old story is my nervous system telling me right now? Is this the voice of my actual poor dad or his father's father? When you try to move quadrants and feel existential terror, don't pathologize it as failure. Recognize it as identity metamorphosis. The caterpillar doesn't fail at flying. It must first dissolve in the chrysalis. And as you learn the language of financial literacy, consciously seek the curriculum they don't sell in courses. The literacy of human networks, of power structures, of your own family's emotional legacy with money. Your journey isn't from poor dad to rich dad. It is from financial unconsciousness to financial consciousness, seeing the full, multi-layered game, both on the spreadsheet and in your soul. If this decoding has resonated with you, if you felt the click of recognizing a pattern you've lived but couldn't name, then you understand the mission of this channel. We exist to read the unspoken text, to find the missing chapters, to decode the dangerous ideas buried between the lines of the books that shape our world. This was just one book. Imagine applying this same lens to the hidden psychology of power, the unsaid rules of status, the forbidden philosophies of meaning and pain. This is a library of dangerous clarity, and you have found it. But the digital attention economy is designed to pull you back into the simplistic parables, to keep you consuming surface-level summaries. To break that cycle, you must take a deliberate, conscious action. You must subscribe. Click the subscribe button and tap the notification bell right now. This is not just following a channel. This is building a dam against the flood of shallow information. It is a vote for depth in a world that rewards distraction. Every time a video from unspoken text appears in your feed, let it be a reminder you are choosing to see the machinery, not just the magic trick. You are choosing the operator's manual over the brochure. Robert Kiyosaki wrote a book that freed millions from the go-to-school, get-a-job script. For that, he deserves historic credit. But every teacher, no matter how revolutionary, operates within the language and limitations of their time. Our job now is not to worship the text, but to complete it. To ask, what remains unsaid? What psychological, social, and structural layers must we now add to the foundation he helped pour? The wealth of the future belongs not to those who can recite the definition of an asset, but to those who have done the brutal, silent work of aligning their psychology, their identity, and their social awareness with the numbers on their screen. That work has no rich dad. It has only you in a quiet room, deciding to read the lines and then daring to read what was written in the spaces between them. I'll see you in the next video, where we'll decode an even more dangerous idea: why the pursuit of happiness is a trap designed to keep you productive and passive. Until then, audit your assets, but start with the ones in your mind. Subscribe now.